Oasis. You're with Julian on the Brenner and quite a lot to get through. So I'm going to do a review of Conclave, which has just won 4 BAFTAs, which is probably the second most important movie awards ceremony, and certainly probably the most adjacent major awards ceremony to the Oscars themselves. And it was basically The Brutalist and Conclave. I saw it a little while ago, and it's from Edward Berger, who's a German-born director and screenwriter, winning Best British Film of the Year. Honestly, I haven't seen many of his films, but I really thought All Quiet on the Western Front, which absolutely dominated the BAFTAs in 2022, I thought it was pretty rubbish, to be honest. Apart from in technical areas, I didn't rate it. Particularly in the writing, and the performances and everything else wasn't great. The opposite's true here, to be honest. It's actually the only thing that's stopping this being a classic film I'll get to at the end. So this is a spoiler alert, because it's been out for a few months, and I'm going to discuss the end because it is ruinous. Ralph Fiennes didn't win for his... It's a very simple setup. It's basically the conclave in the Vatican when the Pope dies and they appoint a new Pope. And the entire film is done in a very House of Cards, heightened, dramatic, politicised way. Not initially based on much to do with global politics or anything like that, but just the way you imagine an episode of House of Cards to pan out. Everyone is behind the scenes needling at each other. Ralph Fiennes is Cardinal Thomas Lawrence, who basically leads the choice or governs the choice of the next Pope. And there's these, one person's this right-wing firebrand and one person is the opposite, and they all have their backers. And there's lots of scandals involving all the people that keep coming up, and some of those scandals have been, like one of the main contenders, one of the candidates against him has brought in this woman from somewhere like Uganda, I'm just guessing off the top of my head, who he fathered a child with 30 years ago to just destroy his candidacy and so on. And it's all fantastic. And you've got Stanley Tucci, or Tucci, however you say it, as one of the cardinals, John Lithgow. Really strong acting content in here. Isabella Rossellini has a fantastic small role in the film, and she's up for the Oscar as well. She didn't win because Zoe Saldana shouldn't even be in the supporting actress category. That's another story. And she's going to win every supporting actor category because she was a lead actor, so she's just blowing everyone else in the supporting actor category out of the water. It is an absolutely fascinating film, and it's shot beautifully. It's up for cinematography awards from Stephanie Fontaine, and Volker Bertelmann has put forward a score that's also got a lot of acclaim. Beautifully shot and staged, and very all dialogue. As you can imagine, they lock the cardinals in. So essentially the outside world can only see what's happening when they change the colour of the smoke coming out of the chimney. I think it's to blue if they've chosen one, and they have to go through various rounds until a consensus is reached on who the next Pope is going to be. Interestingly enough, the current Pope is not doing very well, so it'd be very interesting if the current Pope passes away, and at the moment he's hospitalised, not doing well. Has been banned from doing anything public at all, so that could be interesting if that coincides with the Oscars. And everything about it is great. The one big story element, apart from all of the cardinals facing off against each other, is that the dead Pope had anointed a new cardinal in Afghanistan that no one else knew about. And there are going to be spoilers from here on out. And the reason was that the reason given is that being a Catholic cardinal in Afghanistan puts your life in danger, so they didn't want to make it public. And before the Pope could make it public to the cardinals, he passed away. So this guy turns up from the middle of nowhere, and no one even knows he exists, and starts being, giving these fairly rousing speeches about being good and so on. It's a brilliant film all the way up to sort of like the last fifth. Really high quality acting, directing, writing from a book by, I think, Robert Harris. And so I think any of the downfall of the finale is also down to him because it happens in the book as well. Whether it's better handled in the book, I can't see how, because it sticks out like a sore thumb. Everything is so even-handed and credible, even though it's heightened for dramatic purposes, all these sort of shenanigans and backs and forths between the different cardinals and the political machinations of what goes on is heightened. It's all very reasonable and believable. The only downside to this film that stops it being an outright classic is two things that happen at the end, right at the end as well. And that is they elect the person that they had never met 3 days before, which just had me rolling my eyes. And I was like, you've just shown us how impossible that would ever be. And none of the rousing speeches that this person gave were particularly rousing. They were kind of perfunctory stuff. And there's just no way on earth that all of these cardinals that had all backed other people with decades of knowing them and where their political alliances lie and how they are on social issues and all of this stuff would just randomly decide to pick a newbie. And then to compound it, right at the very end, they make out that the person is trans. And that was so out of step with everything that had happened in the whole movie. It was just such a teenager on a creative writing expedition deciding to put those two elements in it. And you would say, no, you're ruining the whole thing. You've just made it totally incredulous. So there is a sting in the tail in this film, and it's only in the last sort of 15-20 minutes, if that, of the film. The rest of it is fantastic, but then you get these two massive things happen where you're just rolling your eyes going, why did you choose to do that? So I'm still going to give Conclave a very solid 8 out of 10 with one of the most damaging ends of a film I've seen.